Standing performances by those wonderful women. Please help me welcome the writer and director, Damien Romay. Now we'll see if we've got the women. Boys, do we have the women on the Zoom call? And I'm not sure what they're going to see. They might be seeing the backs of our heads. Are they here? Diane Ladd and Mary Stuart Masterson. There they are. Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, just a minute. What did you think of their performance, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think you were a hit. We're going to get, and Damien's here. What are they seeing, Rob? Are they seeing us or are they seeing the back? What are they seeing?
We're seeing you.
Are you seeing me? I'm very handsome, Diane, aren't I? And Damien. There you go. Oh, you're seeing the two-shot. Okay, good. Thank you very much. We thank you very, very much for joining us. And Diane, I certainly hope that your husband is feeling better and that Laura is cured of her COVID and the whole family's back together. We're sending you both our love for joining us here at the Sedona International Film Festival on screen. We're very, very grateful. And I'm going to go ahead and start. And first, and thank you. I was telling the audience before the film, you both have been honorees and have been here at the festival several times, and we're very, very grateful for your support of our festival over 30 years. So thank you, thank you, thank you, ladies. I'm gonna fire the first question. I'm gonna go out to the audience, and it's kind of for all of you. So, Damien, I want to talk to you about casting these incredible women in these roles, and then I want to ask them what drew them to the roles. So, Damien, you start us.
Okay. Hi, Diane. Hi, Mary. Nice to see you. Somebody said once that directing is 90% casting, and I have to agree with that. They're both incredible actresses, and not just actresses, but smart women, incredible writers, directors, producers. They're just incredible women, and I was very fortunate to work with them. I got a chance to get the script to Diane through our casting director. Her name is Judy Henderson. She's out in New York. She casts a lot of shows there, and she got the script to Diane, and that's the first person we cast for the role. And she called me on the phone. She told me what she felt about the script, and from then on we became great friends, and we've been working and talking together ever since. And then through Diane and through our casting director, we got the chance to get the script to Mary, and then we worked with Mary a lot too, and she gave me some great ideas all throughout the writing, directing, post-production, and they're just both marvelous. I can't say enough good things about both of them. So
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Diane, we're going to start with you since he brought you on first. What drew you to this role and made you say, I want to do this?
Well, first of all, Patrick, it was a great part. I never heard two parts for women. We thought it'd get better, but it hasn't. It's 28 parts for a man to 1 part for a woman. That's pretty pathetic in this day and age. So it was a great part, but I love the writing. And I love the intimacy, and I love the fact that nobody got raped, nobody got murdered, and there was no bomb, and no car crash. That's what I want to do in this business, is do movies that communicate and show us who we are. Because I'm just a teacher that's at the blackboard, and I hold up a screen to reflect you. I play you, the audience, saint or sinner, good or bad. I play all of you for you to see yourselves, and maybe yesterday or tomorrow in those parts. That's my job. I hold up a mirror of the human race, this particular person, this little person, this character in this race. Is she related to you? Do you see yourself? Can you cry away your tears and laugh away your fears? That's all I can do. God gave me a talent, and if I use that and I'm allowed to use it well, then I'm in service. So this part, and this wonderful director, Damien, and his beautiful family, Omar, his father, the great producer, They made it so easy because they were there all the time supporting us with so much love. That's the truth.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I'm going to let Mary Stewart answer this, but Damien, I just realized it's super uncomfortable for you to see them. If you want to move your chair so you can look at them, that's totally fine. Mary Stewart, tell us, what drew you to this role in working with these wonderful people and yourself as wonderful?
Well, first of all, I think I met you, Diane, in Sedona.
I think
at
you
the
did
film
too.
festival.
Yes,
Yeah.
Robert Osborne was hosting Women in
Yeah.
Film, and the two of you and Kimberly Williams Paisley and a couple others, you did
That's
meet in
right.
Sedona, so I'm responsible for this.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Mary, a long time ago with your mommy and your daddy.
And it's a little bitty.
And what a thrill it is to.
It is, no, but we had this wonderful conversation then about writing and directing an independent film and roles for women. So here we are again. Damien, I had a conversation with Damien about the script. My first impulse was Diane Ladd, yes. And then the second thing was to actually read the script and speak with Damien. And I loved the material. I felt very drawn to the third act of the story in a way, because I felt like that's when all of the present day stuff started to cook, and learned that was all Damien's addition to what was a wonderful play, but a play that was a one-woman show and a lot of monologues. And so the adaptation and then the addition of a third act of the story of these two people actually finding their way to a kind of connection, and beyond just resentment and blame and, you know, buried material that's radioactive that particularly Victoria's holding on to. It was nice that there was some movement into resolution of some kind. And so anyway, I started speaking with Damien. The thing that I was really taken with was how, you know, he was so generous, saying that we're both writers and directors and actors and smart. We also have a lot to say, right? So not everyone is a secure enough person to take that in and take that on and be collaborative, and Damien definitely was. And so I knew that it would be a fun process. And I think we had a Google Doc going every day before the next day of work. Okay, but this next scene, poor Damien, never had a night off or a weekend off, and was gracious and lovely the whole time.
It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful. I want to raise your hand if you've got a question in the audience. I will come to you. I'll be right up there. I want to talk to each of you to answer, because both of you, obviously, this could have been very much, I don't want to say autobiographical, but of course, Diane, you're the mother to a daughter, Laura Dern. Both of you are successful actresses, very similar to the subject matter of the film. And Mary Stewart, you were here, of course, with your In the Business mom and dad all those years ago here with us. Did any of that play into your interpretation of the roles you played with where you came from in the family dynamic? Certainly, hopefully not this dysfunctional, but.
Not in any way whatsoever. As an actor, I find other parallels that in my life that will give me what I need to draw on. And in this particular role of this woman, even though she is an actress for Broadway, what I drew on was actually quite removed from the actual character I was playing. It just turned out to be that way, and it worked very well for me, my choices.
Nice. How about you, Mary Stewart?
Too, with my relationship between me and Laura, for example, at all whatsoever, what I chose specifically to catapult me into each scene was something quite far removed. And even though I'm also a performer, I did stand-up comedy and dancing and singing. I'm one of the method actresses of the Actors Studio, and the way I work is to choose something, and Mary knows all about this, work to stimulate, and I chose specific things. You never know what an actor's using. It could be heat, cold, a sunburn. It could be seeing someone, a stranger cry, a person hurt. You never know what your choice that moved you so much is for that scene. And so I have a lot of choices, particularly at my age, but the job is to choose the right choice. I guess it's like choosing seasoning when you're cooking. Don't put in too much salt or too much garlic or too much pepper. You might ruin the dinner. So you have to select that.
Well put. Well put. Mary Stewart.
Well, kind of what Diane said, definitely. It's film acting is also much more technical, and you have to be putting together the patchwork quilt in a way that is drawing on all these different, drawing on different resources, we'll call it, and you're trying to sort of land a very particular jump that you've charted your path for before you've begun filming. You don't shoot in sequence. I would say that, of course, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, I think in some ways less my parents literally than the experience of any relationship where you are feel held back by the other, and and in this case, go on. I'm going on, but not literally my mom or my dad, but understanding, of course, the moth to the flame that is being an actress, and so how that might affect, how that affected me as a child, how that might affect my children. That's all in the soup, but literally no, and it's not like a duplicate of my family.
Nice. I've got a question back here.
Question for Mary. Mary, I was lucky to meet you both 16 years ago at that festival when you were here, and I actually stood next to your husband, Mary, and him and I talked while you guys were doing that discussion out in the parking lot, wasn't it, at Harkins? And
Yeah.
anyway, and at last year's festival, I met Jacqueline Bisset, and I asked her the question, did you have to learn to scuba dive for all of that and get certified for that movie, The Deep? And she said yes, but she never went on to scuba dive ever again after that, if anybody knew that. But anyway, so what I was thinking about was your movie, Some Kind of Wonderful. You had to learn to play the drums, obviously, and you were pretty good at it, and I'm wondering if you ever went on to play the drums again after that.
Well, I was playing the drums last night, as a matter of fact. In the last few years, I've gotten music back in my life. I'm very grateful. I learned how to play the drums. I loved it. I had one of those life-altering experiences working with one of the great drummers of all time, Billy Moore, who was a session musician with Lena Horne and Sarah Vaughan and Ray Charles, like incredible musician, was training me for months privately, and I got to sit in his studio and talk to him and learn about being a performer and having longevity. Things about this career in the arts that probably in some ways fed me more than an acting class in some ways, like some dance teachers, some history teacher, who knows what feeds you and helps you stay an artist and stay the course, really. Anyway, he was one of those people, and I finished the movie, and my character doesn't play drums with anyone in the movie. And then I never had a band, and I was on the road, and I got myself a drum kit, and I'm in the barn, in my garage out in LA by myself. And I did Benny and June and Johnny Depp and all the crew. We all got instruments, and after work we would just play. So I played with Johnny and some people on that job. And then, poof, I sold the drums and I didn't play again until recently. And we have a group that plays every week. And so I was playing the drums last night.
Nice. Good one. Good question. Raise your hand if you've got a question. Damien, tell us, that while we have this here tonight in Sedona, you're opening in like 30 theaters in Florida. Is that correct this weekend?
Yes.
Tell us about that and what the journey of this film is going to be.
So this movie is opening. This is kind of the end of our festival run. We've been showing the movie in a few festivals before this, and now we're trying to get the movie nationally distributed. We're doing a small 30 theaters in Florida coming out this weekend, hoping that'll do well, and hopefully it'll go nationwide, and then people will get to see it in their streaming services. This movie is my dad's passion project. He was a producer on the movie, Omar Romay. He saw the Argentinian play by Oscar Martinez, and he asked me to adapt it into a screenplay, and then he asked me to direct it. And this is a true independent movie. I mean, he's been doing all of this, on his own, really pushing for it and trying to get it seen, because it's something that I guess touched him, and it's something that he wanted to get out there in the world, and I did my best to fulfill his dream and to make it the best movie I can make.
Well, that's beautiful. Absolutely. And I got to talk to your dad, and he said he's very, very, very proud. So tell us what that's like about that dynamic of working with Dad as a producer and things. At the end of the day, who won the arguments?
He did.
Okay, there you go. Well put, son.
It's a struggle. It's a back and forth struggle, and it's never easy, to work with a parent, as the movie, reflects a lot of the dynamics between, mother and daughter and father and son, are very similar. And of course, it was very gratifying and beautiful to get a chance to live with him for a month and to develop this together for, over a year. But at the same time, I mean, we have different points of view, and I have to fight for the movie and to make the best movie I can. But at the end of the day, I also understand that this was his passion project, and I wanted to bring it to life the way, he wanted it to be there. So it was always a struggle. And it's not to say to receive a criticism from just a producer than it is to receive a criticism from your dad. It's hard not to take that personally, but I try to, balance it as best I could, and this was the result.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everyone involved with the project for bringing female actors to the forefront in such a way where they were treasured, even through their angst. As a daughter of a mother who was very interesting and had parallels and also opposites, I love the way that you brought it to resolution. And then I'd like to think, secondly, I'd like to ask each of the ladies, the actors, who was your inspiration when you got into the industry?
You're asking us this?
Yes. Who was your inspiration when you got into the industry?
Eric, you go first.
Oh gosh. That's a great question. People like a lot of the same people Diane knows, Geraldine Page and Kim Stanley and Jean Arthur and Jimmy Stewart and Jessica Lange was working a lot when I was starting, and Meryl Streep and those folks, and a lot of people since. I'm always being inspired by great actors, and I've worked with such amazing people, and every time I learn something, and so it's ongoing, But I see myself more of like a teammate. I'm not comfortable being the focus of things. I could do better in that department. I'm always interested in who the other person is, the other actor, and it's really a team sport. So I just love the experience of being part of telling a story, no matter whether I'm the director, writer, actor, small part, big part, doesn't matter to me. I just love making stories that reach people and move people, so.
Before I answer, Patrick, I do want to wave at all of your audience and tell them I love them. I love you, Sedonas. I lived there 17 years, and you still are in my heart. I lived such a beautiful place and a spiritual place and inspiring place. And I just also want to share, we've had big changes, some good, some not so good, since the last 3 or 4 years for COVID. And that is that a lot of the distributors sold half their companies. And when that happened, a lot of the studios jumped in and bought some of these theaters. So when you get ready as an independent film producer to show your movie, if you go to the Paramount Theater to rent it, unless it's a Paramount picture, you can't. Or if it's a Netflix, or if it's Paramount, or whoever it is, Columbia or MGM, if you're not part of their stable, you don't get to rent their theater. So a lot of theaters suddenly weren't able to get a theater to distribute their film. And then, of course, bam, the strike hit for almost 8 months, and you weren't allowed to sell our film during the strike. And so we finally are beginning to show it. So it went to the festivals, and we were well received at the famous Libby Park. Over 800 people attended. And one man in his 70s said, "Miss Ladd, thank you so much for doing this film." He said, first time I've laughed and cried in a film in a long time since It's a Wonderful Life. He said to have emotions in a film. And I just want to say that we're grateful to the festival, especially you, Patrick, because the festivals allowed a lot of the independent films such as ours. It won the Legend Award. It was chosen for over 16 beautiful film festivals. And we're real pleased because we must not stop letting the independent films get made because they balance out the other desire for profit or the desire for commerciality. And they are the answers for art and culture. And there's an old saying that any country that loses its culture, history has proven, they lose life. They lose the country. So we should pay attention to that this time in history. And I just want to say, my generation was Betty Davis, was Irene Dunn, was Joan.
Irene Dunn, oh yes.
How about her? Greta Greer Garson? Oh. And we just, all these ladies had such beautiful roles. I wish, Mary, that you and I had the roles offered that they got to. But maybe we'll bring it back again. Maybe we'll all stand and bring it back again. I plan to stick around for a long time.
There you go. Good, good, good. We love that. And Diane, we have some people here in the audience who know you that may have worked for you for a few years. Here we go.
This is for Diane. Diane, it is so great to see you and see you on film. This is a blast from the past. 30 years, Sedona Film Festival. 30 years ago, my now wife worked for you as your personal assistant, and we lived with you in Betty Lane in Coldwater Canyon. Carrie, and we now live in Sedona, and we're here. We were so hoping that you'd be here tonight, but this goes so far back. We lived with you and the beautiful Mary Gary, and
the Mother Mary.
The Mother Mary, and gosh, it's a long time, and you've had a lot of personal assistants, but I know you can't see us, but I want to just say, Tom Devlin, but my wife, Carrie Southern, worked for you right after we did the remodel to your house on Betty Lane. If you remember all that, we just wanted to say hi, and Carrie, say hi.
Hi, Diane. Hi, Mary. God bless you. Enjoy that beautiful place for us.
Yeah, we love you so much.
Oh, great. You're talking about memories. Memories are our life. Memories are what keep us all going, and films are in real life. Mary's daddy directed me in an off-Broadway show 40 years ago, starring with Bob De Niro and our starving actors. who were in a play 40 years ago. And Sam Robards, who's in the film, his daddy, Jason Robards, I worked with. Great actors all, and directors. And so now we watch the new generation, and we're trying to fight for culture and to make it better for our country, for the next generation, hopefully there is one, and for all those talents, whether they're butchers, bakers, or sandal candle makers. We've got to all fight and get back together to make our country a great country and get our people out communicating with each other, and kindness and some loving ideals without so much judgment. I say let's all do it together, and films can help. So thank you for being good filmmakers. Anybody else want to say hello?
Hello. Hello, I'm also a filmmaker, and I would... Oh, nice and close. Okay, hello. Thank you for your movie, and I wanted to ask all three of you if there is something that you learned in the making of the movie that you especially take with you into your next project, about yourselves or in general.
Well, I'll take that one first. I think you learn, if you're open to learning, you learn something every day, everywhere. Living life and making movies for sure. In this movie in particular, I had designed it and I had a very clear idea of the way I wanted to make it and how I wanted it to be and where I wanted to shoot it. And then I had to throw all of that out the window pretty much on the first day when Mary Stewart got to Savannah. We had dinner, and the next morning she calls me. She says, "Damien, I just tested positive for COVID." And so I called Diane. I said, "Diane, don't get on a plane. We gotta." And then we had to get the locations again, change the whole schedule around, and all the rehearsal that I wanted to do and I had planned. I just had to throw all that out, and they just had to, improvise. Like the character says at the beginning of the story, just be present. Listen to the people I had around me. Fortunately, I had very smart, creative, talented people around me. And just, there's nothing like just being in the moment and capturing, what's going on the way you have to capture it. And also, Diane gave me good advice at some point. She saw that I was kind of stuck in a way that I was trying to make the movie. And she told me an anecdote. She said when she was doing, Alice doesn't live here anymore, and she was with Scorsese. She says, well, I'll let her tell the anecdote, but the thing is, she said, the scene that I think got me nominated for the Academy Award was the scene that we did in the bathroom, and we had shot the scene with the whole crew and a bunch of cameras, but it just wasn't working. And so she went up to Scorsese. She said, we have to shoot this again. So Scorsese had to grab, everybody was gone, he had to grab the camera, handheld, and just do it again, just him and a very small group. And she believes that's what got them the nomination. And so she said, you have to, I think it's time you grab the camera handheld, and you just, come close and let us, and let us give you what we can give you. So that's what I decided to go with a more verite style, and not the whole design that I had at the beginning. And I'm glad I did. I think I got a much better movie thanks to that. So that's what I learned, to just throw away your concepts when you're there, and just try to see what you can capture, and I'll let the ladies take the rest.
Mary, you go.
I think I learned that, first of all, this particular character is, everybody has a point where they say you're not likable, nobody likes you, no wonder, nobody can live with you. She's not a likable person on the page. And I was like, okay, I have to be very comfortable doing that and embodying a person. Obviously, I don't think that about myself if I'm playing the role, but I realized I had to I had some things that I needed to talk to Damien about after maybe a day or two of shooting. And he's so nice, and I'm usually so nice, and I'm a good girl, and I'm on time, and I get along, and I don't want to make anybody mad, and I take care of the crew, and I take care of the cast usually. And I realized what I learned was I have to fight for this character, and even if it's uncomfortable or makes him uncomfortable, I have to say, I'm not going to feel safe, and I'm not going to give you a great performance if I'm pussyfooting around, if I'm being nice, and not saying what I really feel about something that's making me feel shut down or something like that. And to Damien's credit, we had this wonderful conversation about that, and it gave me permission to not be likable at all, if I needed to not be likable at all, and to get to the root of what truths we're trying to tell here. And it was not comfortable for me, but it was, for me, it was a little bit of a breakthrough. I learned something from that, definitely, for the rest of my life. So I'm grateful for that.
Well put. Diane, how about you?
Well, I learned something I already knew. I was reminded of two things. Number one, that I'm so grateful to the universe for the talent they gave me. And I love using it. It's like being a nurse and being able to not just put a Band-Aid on Quacksy's medicine, but to do something that counts. If you feel you have a piece of gold, it's so sad to not be able to share or to use it. And the other thing I was reminded of is that how wonderful it is to be allowed to work with a company like the Romays, where they support you with love. How much easier it is when the basis of the work is really caring. Not just out there kicking it for get $1 or hurry, 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 what you gotta do, but because someone really cares about whether or not you do the best work you can. And it matters. Whether you're a kid in school or whatever you do in life, it's so important to keep your dignity and to be honored and to strive to be the best you can, to do the best you can, and to share it. And I was reminded of that with this wonderful crew that loves the Romays and supported us. And when we had to have them be quiet, they came to be quiet. When they had to do the work, they did their work. And they didn't complain. They just really put their shoulder to the grindstone. And they did it with love. And it was a great and wonderful experience for me. And I thank you, Damien, for that. And I thank your father for that. And I thank the audiences of America that care. You know, when I go to Canada, the people there, they save their vacations up for the festivals because they care so much about culture. And with the people that are at these festivals, I call them the wise ones. And I appreciate them because they care. And you can't buy caring. You can buy a facsimile, pretty good pretend, but you can't buy the real thing. It's either there or it isn't. And the people who come to the festivals, they care enough to go. Thank you for that.
That is a beautiful, 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 Diane. Mary, that is the beautiful way to end. And I want to thank you both. I guess I'll look that way because they'll see us. I want to thank you both so much. You've been such an important part of our festival over these certainly last 20 years with me, and of course, I know before that, and the 30-year history. And so I thank you for what you brought to us, what you brought tonight. I'm biased, but I think this is the best performance of both of your careers because it was extraordinary what you put on the screen tonight. And I especially want to give a shout out. Diane called me. Diane and I have been friends for many, many years over this. She and I and my wife were all together at the Georgia Frontieri's Celebration of Life, who is so important to our festival. We've known Diane for many, many years. So her cell phone's in my cell phone, and one day last fall, Diane Ladd's on my phone. I'm like, oh, cool, Diane's calling me. Hello. And she said, Patrick, I have, in her wonderful Southern accent, I have this beautiful film that I'm so proud of. Mary Stuart Masterson is performed so well. Andrew McCarthy, the Romays have just taken this, a father-son duo, and she said, I am so proud of this, and we want to bring it to the Sedona Film Festival. And rarely does that happen when the star of a film calls and says, we want to bring our film to the Sedona Film Festival. So I want to thank you, Diane. Thank you for bringing this film into our world. Thank you for bringing the Romays into our world. Thank you for bringing Mary Stuart back into our world. And it means so very, very much to us. And to tell you what a wonderful woman this is, Diane, a couple of years ago when her daughter Laura won the Academy Award, a bunch of us were watching the Academy Awards in the Mary Fisher Theater on the big screen, and they called Laura Dern, and I know you remember this, Diane. She gave a great and beautiful shout out to her mother and her inspiration and what she taught her and what she learned and her talent. I was so excited, I grabbed my cell phone, knowing she wouldn't answer because she's at the Oscars, and we recorded this amazing message to Diane, congratulating her and her daughter on her daughter's Oscar. To this woman's credit, I think it was 9 o'clock the next morning, she called and said, Patrick, we love you at the Sedona Film Festival. That was the most thoughtful thing anybody could have done. And it was so brilliant and beautiful of you to acknowledge that. Diane, thank you. Thank you for what you have brought to us. She did. I know your face, you were like, you didn't know she was talking about you. So we thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Isle of Hope, make sure you vote. Damien Romay, congratulations on your incredible film. Mary Stuart Masterson, Diane Ladd, thank you for joining us remotely. We're so grateful. We are hoping everyone's very happy and healthy again very, very soon. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations. And thank you all so much for joining us. We love you.
Be well.